I'd like to call this meeting to order, time being 6 p.m. Go to roll call. Who's doing roll call? You want to do roll call?
Eldon.
Rhonda? I'm here.
Rhonda here. Andrew.
Here.
Dayton.
Here.
Karsten is absent. Mr. Fields.
I'd like to call this meeting to order,
Mr. Miller.
time being 6 p.m.
He had to step out. There's an issue going with the activity of the high school game.
Same with Mr. Hutchins.
He will be here. He was running a little bit late. He said 6:30 maybe for him.
Mr. Mills. One community member.
Okay, you good at this point?
I'm good so far.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go to Pledge of Allegiance. I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that brings us to the invocation. We have somebody volunteer for the invocation. Thank you, Andrew.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for this great country we live in and for this great community. We thank you for the opportunity we have to have the board and for the Constitution of the United States. We ask you at this time to help us as we discuss the things about Josie Schools, that we can help it to improve, and we can help and protect all those who are involved. We thank you for all our many blessings. In Jesus' name,
Amen. Thank you, Andrew. That brings us to adoption of the agenda. I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion needed? Anybody want to move anything around? Okay. Call for the vote. Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Thank you. It brings us to approve the minutes of the December 8th, 2020 executive session. That's yours.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented for the executive session, December 8th.
I'll second it.
Any discussion needed for that? Okay, call for a vote. Rhonda?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Myself, yes. That brings us to 1G. That's also you, Rhonda.
I move that we accept the minutes for January 12th, regular board meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion needed for that? All right, call for the vote. Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That brings us to 1H Superintendent's Report. Brian?
Yeah, thank you. So you have access to a few things that I included under my tab there on your agendas. So if you have questions specifically about any item on my report, just let me know and I'll address it. But overall, there's a lot going on right now. However, the COVID numbers in the county and in our schools appear to be going down. The statistics that they keep and all that on a downward trend, so that's good. We're still keeping up with trying to do some extra cleaning and taking precautions to keep our staff and students healthy. There was a snow day on the 26th that there's actually addressed in an agenda item as well, but I give you just a brief update on that in my report. The work for this building, the roof and the ceiling work is almost complete. This is the last bit they have to do. So they did sheetrock where it was open and you had plastic that you guys have seen over the past few months. but they did a drop ceiling in here, and they finished the ceiling repair in the back restroom where there was a structural issue. And now we're clear to go ahead and make ceiling repairs throughout the rest of the building. There's been some spots that have been damaged for a long time. So we're looking forward to getting that. No leaks currently, and a new roof on it, so that's good. The lights for this section is supposed to be, that work will be done tomorrow. They're on schedule. We had a district spelling bee I wanted just to bring your attention to, and the winners, maybe I'll mention them here. Rosemarie Fisher and Ashley Bushman were the winners, and we have alternates, Lucy Hancock and Joseph Fisher. So they're good spellers, and they're doing it a little bit different from the county competition this year. It's virtual, and there has to be someone monitoring them at the computer as they spell. But it's interesting, and that is February 17th. And Mr. Hutchins has put some work into this, so we appreciate him. And they did broadcast from the auditorium when we did our district one. That was good. I make a note in my report that I'm looking at pricing on some electric vehicles. If we could maybe experiment with a staff vehicle and get a used one. There's different ranges. The one I had priced out for the purpose of any discussion you might want to have today was about $6,000 for a used electric vehicle. But if we upgrade and spend a little bit more on a used vehicle, the range increases. So it goes up. The next brand that's about the $10,000 range, they call it a Leaf. I think it's a Nissan Leaf. Like that. And it goes up to 200 miles. So the older the batteries are, the closer the range is. But if we were to invest in something now on a relatively small way in staff, say technology or maintenance, or some in-house employees used it locally, we might see how we like it and see how it goes. So that's why I mentioned that, and I don't know if the board had any input they want to share with me. I'm open, though.
My biggest question on that is it really going to save the district any money? I mean, we've got like 5 small cars in the parking lot right now. That's almost 1 per 10% of our employees.
Yeah.
And then the other question is electric vehicle, there's, as far as I know, nobody even close that can maintain them, work on them. If battery goes out, you might as well buy a new engine. They're really expensive, and the local shops don't have much to do with them. So it's
good questions. No doubt that there's a risk to it. The reason I thought of this, and I at least wanted to consider it, was our vehicle fleet is old, and they were asking for a new vehicle anyway. We have, evidently, the technology department, they're in a vehicle that's very old and probably needs to be put to rest, it sounded like. Do you remember the details on that? He was one of the people telling me.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that are kind of struggling, and we need to be looking at some kind of replacement.
Poor shape. It was technology, and the other one.
Well, there's
the high school car.
Custodial, a food service van.
The food service, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we need to, we try and cycle through and get updates. So that's a good question. Is it really going to save us money? So I did a little research, and if it's accurate, they say that the maintenance, the upkeep on it is, at under half, roughly, what it is on a gas vehicle. It lasts longer, they say.
With that said, is there someone locally that can do that?
That can maintenance on it?
Yes.
I don't know, but I haven't checked to that. Eventually, I think more people will be able to do it. They say there's not much maintenance on these. There's no oil.
there's not, but when something goes bad, it's
major. Probably Flagstaff, maybe. We bought a few years ago. We bought a van, a big van, Mercedes or something, and the closest person that could work on it was, like Camp Birdie, not Camp Birdie,
Prescott.
Prescott. It was a long way to send it to get it worked on a surface, and it was a pain. That, we actually still have it, I think. But anyway.
I think that's important that we keep that
Yeah.
thing in mind.
Yeah, we do need to keep that in mind. So, if it rings true, if that is true, we could save money by, potentially, and if prices go down on electric vehicles, which may happen. And, you know, eventually maybe it could be a bus or something for this district. I don't know for sure, but, that was my thought. So, but those are good questions that we have to consider. Maybe we'll continue to look at deals and things like that. I can make it an agenda item too, or whatever. The Navajo County Sheriff's Department has offered to make a donation to us. There's that in the report if you have any questions.
Are we gonna be able to have a grad night?
Yeah, I would think so. I expect to.
Virtual.
Virtual grad.
Virtual grad night?
You know,
I can't remember if we had one last year or not. I
no.
don't think we did, right?
Well, some students probably still did. As a matter of fact, I believe I remember that.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the main purposes is trying to keep kids safe. So hopefully we don't even have many precautions we have to take at something like that, like mask or, you know, things. But, we'll see how it goes. That's my hope. I would expect that some of these things we won't be worrying about come May. And another important item in my report is curriculum mapping for teachers. So we have a plan to allow the principals to authorize some curriculum mapping. That is to align the lessons and activities and the assessments with the current state standards. Not that we don't already have that, but in some cases we have new teachers, and this will help them develop their lessons and activities to align to that. We're going to have a form set up at each campus. It's going to be different for teachers who already have some viable and up-to-date, robust curriculum for their classes, and new teachers who are getting all new lessons, and, you know, they have to align that. So you'll have some of the development with the teachers will be of their curriculum, and other ones more focused on assessments and reviewing data to see how students are progressing. But anyway, up to 15 hours until June 30th is our starting point. It's funded from a federal grant that the district has, a non-competitive federal grant. And so those funds are there. And I just wanted to make you aware of that. And it may be offered to every teacher, but at each campus. That's kind of how we plan, but it's going to be outside the regular workday. So, couple other items I wanted. So we have some plumbing issues we're looking at. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But also requests for proposals for a broadband fiber optics line. I wanted just to bring your attention to that project. Steve and Jason have been working on this. We have a consultant. It's through a program called E-Rate, where they fund technology needs of rural districts. And anyway, I guess all districts. So we have an RFP out. I actually have a copy here if anyone's interested in reviewing it. And this would be to so Choya is bringing in a big fiber optics line from Phoenix, and it's going to service all of northern Arizona. And it's proposed and scheduled to be completed by the end of this year in December, the last I heard. Well, this RFP and proposal would be bringing the fiber optics from the power plant to our campus, and it would be funded through a grant using the E-rate program. Is that a broad enough summary? Steve might want to add or refine something I said, but that's basically the gist of it. The RFP is to see if there's any vendors that are willing to do it. It looks like there's state funds and matching federal funds, matching state funds and federal funds that would pay for this. So it wouldn't be an expense to the district. Could be a huge benefit because it would be a lot of
So how's this gonna help us? I know
right.
that sounds like an obvious question, but
Kind of several things that we're looking at. One is we expect that, and everybody says this, that it will cost less because we're basically,
so our internet, or what are we talking?
right. So once we get
So
to
then
Choya,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
well, if we own the line from here to Choya, obviously there's no cost to that other than, maintenance, occasional maintenance and that sort of thing. Once we get to Choya, then we lease our own set of fiber all the way to Phoenix, the big regional internet hub. And so we're not paying a vendor. Now we have to pay somebody to manage that for us. I mean, we don't have the ability to manage it. But what I'm told is that costs quite a bit less than what we would pay, like, what is it, Sparklight or whomever.
Yeah.
Plus, right now, there's only really one vendor for all practical purposes that services Joe City with the bandwidth levels that we need. So that gives us, some options there. And another advantage of it is what APS tells us is the next phase. Then is they want to eventually run a line to Flagstaff and connect into a big internet trunk that goes from Flagstaff to Tucson. So that gives us 2 routes now to Phoenix. So if the line gets cut for whatever reason, it just switches over to the other way, and we're not without internet for 2 or 3 days while they fix it. So that's another advantage. We think we can get higher bandwidth, for less money. And, if it doesn't turn out to be to our advantage, we won't do it. But we figured we don't know until we get some bids and see what it's going to cost, how much the feds will pay, how much the state will pay. So
all that's going to, and I don't mean all, but it is strictly going to be for our campuses.
Well,
it's not going to help our outlying students. That's
another thing that I didn't want to get into a lot of detail there just because it's just in the talking phases right now. But there's discussion apparently in the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, about changing the E-rate rules to allow us to use E-rate money to serve, basically to serve the community. But the way they frame that is, what we've learned from COVID and distance learning is the classroom is wherever the student is. I mean, for most kids, it's on your campus, but it's not always on your campus. Or they, they've kind of extended this idea of, when they're doing things at home or studying, at night on the weekend, that they need to have internet access, which we've, has been, kind of in our faces with COVID, that we have people that don't have that capacity. And even if you have internet to your home, you don't always have enough bandwidth, just for your 5 kids or 3 kids or whatever. And so
that's getting ahead, kind of. That's
right. But what they're looking at is making that available to the community and some funds to fund that. So if that comes to pass,
we would be ready.
We'll be in a position to move very quickly to make that available to our community if we have the bandwidth and affordable bandwidth.
But the main reasons for this, just to interject quickly, cost savings. This would save us money to have this infrastructure in place, and then internet speed, and the fact that it wouldn't go down, or we could just have a better service of internet. So those 2 things kind of make it a no-brainer. But this other thing is down the line. It would be great to be prepared for that.
I have to say too, APS has been very
they've been proactive with us on that and quite, in my opinion, generous in offering that to us when they could probably make a lot more money by selling it to a big provider. They said, no, you know, we're going to give you what you need and others. And then what's left, you know, we might consider leasing that out to big providers. So, yeah.
I don't know if there's any other questions on that or discussion, but it's good information. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate the time he's put into this with Jason as well, and APS. Just a couple other things under my item here. You can see that there's at least one form. You can see our distance learning plan they did a review on us and it was approved by the state. We got that back in this last month. We have a new process in place for professional development that includes this form I've attached. And there's a financial summary also attached as part of my report. And other than that, I don't want to take up too much time on this, but if you have any questions, I would be happy to address them.
I really like the idea of touchless sinks and toilets.
Seems like that's kind of the direction a lot of people are going, facilities and things.
For some reason, people forget to flush.
And at least you don't have to touch it too. Like a whole
Yeah,
life.
and then, yeah.
Yep.
That's why we're a little concerned, I am personally, on the maintenance. Those faucets and things, there might be a difference in how you maintain them and keep them operating. So I'm interested to see. We're waiting on a quote on the touchless stuff. So
Excellent.
I do appreciate the financial summary that you attached with this also. It kind of gives you a broader perspective of where we sit month to month and what's left over to deal with.
Okay, thanks. Any more questions? Thank you for that report, Mr. Fields. Appreciate it. Brings us to call to the public. Call to the public.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Winter. Then we will move on to consent agenda items. We can come back to executive session if we need to, but that brings us to consent agenda items, starting at 4A going through 4F. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as listed.
No second.
Okay, does anybody want to pull anything out of there or discuss anything on those?
if you don't mind, I would like to make a little comment or give you an update on
Sure.
one of those items at least.
Yep.
Or answer any questions on. And that is the roof replacement. It's been asked about that a little bit by some board members and employees. So that has gone out. There is some information Steve uploaded to this item if you click on it. But so we had the bid opening on Thursday, and that's been awarded to a company that's done some roofing here before. And so we're excited about that. Seems, well, it is a lot of money, as you can see there. But we're excited. They're going to start that as soon as this actually has to formally be approved by the School Facilities Board, the construction amount. All the other design and engineering has already been approved. So typically this is a formality that comes after. So this will be on the next School Facilities Board meeting. And then once that is done, they will ask us about the schedule. We're going to tell them to start as soon as possible. And they will start, and they have 120 days from the start to finish that. And I also have an update on the elementary roof. The design final documents should be ready by the end of this week, and then they'll go out to bid once we get them organized into the bid format. I'm hoping by the following week, and they have to stay open for a certain amount of time. Now, I think this roof is going to cost more than this one, would be my estimation, but
Considering the repair on the beams they're gonna have to do, I would say probably.
yeah. I wouldn't call it a repair, because that's not what they're calling it. It's added protection or support, and they're using, as some of you guys know more about this, I'm sure, than I do, but carbon fiber, this thin material to put, all that work that's been done in the gym has kind of been at one level. This level is up above. It's where at the very top of the gym, and they think that some added support there would be great, either welding some big metal braces or putting carbon fiber. And the cost estimate came back very close, and so the carbon fiber option is the one that they're going with, so, or that we were going with. I agreed to go with. Interesting, and hopefully I wanted to get that out about the same time, so maybe the same contractors might be interested. I don't know, but it's not finished yet because of that added support. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say, unless you have questions.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions on anything on the consent agenda? All right, let's call for the vote. Andrew?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Thank you. That brings us to personnel requests.
Would you like me to present this one?
Yeah, 5A, if
Okay.
you would, please.
5A, this is a part-time at-will position of an athletic trainer. So that's what I'm asking for. We can discuss it at board's
Okay.
leisure here.
I'll make a motion that we approve a part-time athletic trainer position.
I'll second it.
Okay.
If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me here and I'll
So
take them.
what kind of
Qualifications.
qualifications, I was gonna say requirements, qualifications would you have for this position?
Well, currently it's pretty broad. So this is a brand new position for the district. If we have qualifications that are high, where you have to be an MD or a physical therapist, we probably going to limit our applicant pool. So we'd like to take this on a case-by-case basis and look at what training and experience each candidate would have. So it's a good question, but it's pretty vague at this point. Experience with therapeutic exercises and activities and rehabilitation. Their experience with those things is basically
What has brought this up?
the coaches have requested this, and it's come up through the chain. And basically, as at least I know Eldon will remember, the AIA has, at one point, it was a discussion about requiring this for school liability and things of that nature.
Well, it concerns me that it's gonna open us up for more liability.
That's what I was gonna say. If they do it wrong and make it worse, and
So it's a request that came up through the coaches, and we do have a volunteer that we've approved to do this currently. The short answer.
The other thing that you can think of right now is we have coaches that are doing it right now by themselves that probably none of the coaches have had any training at all. I mean, some do have. I did.
First aid, probably.
When I went to NAU, I got training on some athletic stuff, how to tape and all that kind of stuff. Actually took classes on it. I don't know if we have any coaches that have ever done that. So, I mean, if you're looking at that, it would probably be useful to have a part-time athletic trainer that can at least give the coach a little bit of, I don't know, ease of mind or whatever, that maybe what they're thinking is right. So, I mean, it's pretty hard right now as a coach to
be everything.
yeah, and as a concussion, there's nothing you can do about it. If a kid says, hey, my head hurts, then you say, go see a doctor and bring back a doctor's note. There's nothing you can do about that. But I think what you're looking at here is the twisted ankles and the
Taping.
and the pulled muscles and the other things that, you know, sometimes the coach is thinking, you know what, just get out there and play. But if you have an athletic trainer that possibly say, well, maybe it's not as...
It may not work out, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Never know.
So right now, we're just asking for the position at 3 hours a week.
Which isn't a whole lot.
It's gonna be hard to get anybody to
Yeah.
be super qualified for
Yes, 3 hours a week, exactly.
$20 an hour when you can be charging 75 if you have any certifications.
Right.
Well, it's like the teachers. They don't do it for the money.
Tell them that.
Well, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can find somebody, then
I think it's good because it allows us to give a position, so if there's somebody out there in the community that does have some kind of a background or certification in this that's willing to come and help, that's basically what it is and we can have a position that allows them to do that.
And we can evaluate this, you know, at any time. And if we do hire someone, they would have to be reapproved each year. So I think it's a step in
And
the
they
right
would
direction.
go through all the employee training and background and all that everybody else does. Okay.
Hey, any other questions? All right. Call for the vote. Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew?
yeah.
Okay. That brings us to 5B. I'll make a motion that we approve the employee assignments as listed.
I'll second.
Do we have any questions or any discussions that need to take place? If you notice on the renewals, you have all the teacher renewals for the FY 21-22. There's a list of those. It's my understanding that that list is the teachers that said yes, they want to come back next year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we only had 2 that said no thing.
One, and then, well, yeah, one for sure, it's a resignation that's on tonight. And then, the other one just hasn't committed yet, I believe. So the ones that did commit, the principals and the administrative team thought it would be a good gesture to try and get their contracts out a little early. So, you know, now they have, once those contracts go out, they only have 10 days, 2 weeks to return it, or it's invalid, just as a legal measure. But anyway.
Well, that has been a complaint in the past, so we didn't get contracts out to them soon enough, so let's get them out to them. Especially since they said they want to stay. Any other questions?
Give me more time.
No, give me more time.
Doesn't include any increase at this point. So that will probably be coming after we have some budget meetings.
Right. Okay. Call for the vote. Rhonda?
Oh, yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, that brings us to 5C. I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel appointments as listed.
I'll second it.
Any discussion needed here? Questions? Notice we have the administrative assistant on there, which is good to get that position filled.
Yeah. We feel like we have a good qualified candidate for that.
I think she'd do good.
Good. Then we'll have to advertise for that position starting tomorrow. We'd like to. It won't be probably the same title because that position was actually designed around her and her skill set and experience qualifications. So the replacement would probably be called a special ed secretary. when we start advertising tomorrow. That's the plan, Andrew.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? All right, thank you. Call for the vote. Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. That brings us to 6 action items. 6A. I'll make a motion that we approve employee pay for emergency school closures.
No second.
And I probably should have clarified in that title that it's classified employee pay. So there's a distinction here on a school emergency, and there might be some discussion. I don't want to backtrack and repeat anything that you guys already are aware of. But when we call for a snow day or because of hazardous conditions, inclement weather, whatever the case, and we don't want employees or students here, the question came up, well, what about instructional aides, custodians, and secretaries? Now, and depending on who we're talking about, and if you have questions, just stop me. But some of their work may be done at home. If it's a secretary and the principal has asked them to call some staff or to reach out to some parents that we don't know if they check their email, something like that, they could do from home, and that expectation would still be there. However, custodians, they don't. And my concern is I don't want to incentivize them to come into work under hazardous conditions because they don't want to take vacation leave on a snow day. And we're not talking many custodians that, that would, but it is an issue that you may have questions about or comments. So go ahead. Looks like you want to say something.
Do we have any that don't live in town?
Employees? Yeah.
No, I'm custodial.
I don't know where all of them live, quite frankly. I know we have classified employees that don't. Custodians specifically, we have in the past. Currently, probably not. You guys may know better than me. But like maintenance, there's somebody in really staying off the interstate, is important in a day like this. But like I said, I respect someone that they have a different opinion than me on this, but I wanted you to be aware of this situation because I did authorize that pay for the classified staff that day.
Well, I think you'd have a hard time separating whether you lived in town or don't live in town. If you live in town, you have to come, and if you don't live in town, you don't. And we're only talking about like 1 day a year, maybe. So, to me, it's...
Well, it says up to 2 days per year.
Yeah, if you approve this, it would mean the superintendent could pay them for, or they would be paid. It's no decision, up to 2 days. If it's more than that, like if it's a week of a big blizzard, it would have to come to the board. So just the 2 days.
I think that's reasonable.
I think so. Any other questions? Okay, call for a vote. Andrew?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the motion.
Eldon?
I motioned it, and Dayton seconded it.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Jay?
Andrew says yes. I say yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Dayton? Yes. Thank you. I don't see any discussion items. Do we have any requests for future agenda items?
Would the board like to see the, like a potential electric vehicle before I purchase it? I mean, I'm open either way. I don't think it's that pressing of an issue, but if I find a good used one, I could bring it, and not the vehicle, the information.
Well, you gotta park it and plug it in out there, so.
Yeah, we do have a plug out there.
I'm still concerned about, if repairs are needed.
Yeah.
Might be a good idea to find out what the closest place is.
Here's one of the
that
things
works
I'm
on an
looking at.
electric
I know
car.
for a long time, people that owned a Honda, you had to go to a certified dealer. That's all the way in Phoenix, and that's not even a high-end vehicle. But I know other vehicles, you gotta go all the way down there. In the long run, it doesn't save our school when we're having to pay somebody. And I don't know about you, but when I take stuff to get it fixed, it's usually a while, and we can't be sending 2 people down to have them drive back or get a motel.
Right.
That's my big concern.
That's
We'll
a
get it
good one.
towed down if it's broken.
Yeah.
If we don't get an electric vehicle, we do have a need for getting a replacement regular vehicle. Either way, soon. And this should probably come up in the budget discussions, with some extra, COVID funding or federal grants that could be coming, and planning into the future where, with the plant closure and these things, we want to be in a situation where we're prepared to not have big expenses in the future. Vehicles are going to be on that list, buses specifically. So it's going to be an issue that needs to be discussed. If it's not an electric vehicle, it probably will be another.
Well, I'm good with having you check into that, and if it's something reasonable, go forward with the electric vehicle. But after the discussion we've had, realizing the concerns, if it's gonna have to be a long ways away, I don't think it doesn't make sense to have to go, it doesn't make sense to open a restaurant in Joseph City if you've gotta go drive all the way to Phoenix to buy your groceries.
Right. Gotcha. I understand it now. I'll do as Eldon asked. I'll look at but like maintenance on the tires isn't going to be different, right?
No.
It could be the same.
No, just things that are specific to electric cars.
Well, and there's got to be reports out there too that, if your maintenance on the car is so spread out that, you maintain a gas vehicle much more often with oil changes and all that kind of stuff, if it's spread out enough that it makes up the difference, so it's actually even still cheaper, then maybe you still go with it. But I would have absolutely no idea how much it would cost for maintenance or how often on an electric car.
Well, then also what the return is. What is, when that car is done, how done is it done, electric car compared, what's your potential to sell it or get rid of it? Once those batteries and stuff are gone.
Yeah.
Are we dealing?
And the bottom line is this is something new to all of us.
I did a little research on those questions, specifically 10 years for these smaller electric cars, and the battery is pretty much shot. And a new battery for this model I was looking at was $7,000. So that.
How many batteries?
I thought it was the one out.
Is the battery set? No, there's multiple batteries in those cars. So is it 7,000 for a battery set or 7,000 per battery?
I'll share with you something interesting I heard from another superintendent at a rural district. They went their bus fleet to propane or natural gas buses, or I guess that's what it is, and they really like the fact that maintenance is less, and they're saving a lot of money with that. And he actually told me that it was over a year or two ago. It's been a while.
Yeah, you may save enough on maintenance to be able to buy the batteries later.
Right.
That's just a question that we have. You never know.
Electric buses might come out here in the next few years, or if not, maybe we want to look at the natural gas buses, whatever they're called.
Okay. Upcoming meetings and events.
We have on there a budget work session, and Steve was going to pick a date for us to look at.
Just a suggestion, you can certainly do it whenever works for you, but, I would think the first week in March would be when we need to get started on that. So if we do it on a Tuesday night, it would be March the 2nd.
you guys have any preference of when to do a budget work session? I mean, it's not a question of if we're gonna do it, it's when. We might end up doing two, so when would you like to do it?
Or if there's a day of the week or anything like that,
Yeah,
whatever.
Just go with March 2nd, unless somebody is dead.
is there a time better for anybody? I mean, you don't have to go at 6, so you could go at 4, or you could go at whatever. I'm fine with whatever.
Well,
We're still working man's time.
I was gonna say, the two of you would better, Dayton and I are at least fancy free. We can work around y'all's schedule is my point. We're in agreement on that. I speak for him.
And I can work around about any schedule, so it's up to you, Andrew, when you wanna do this.
I say just do it at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, Tuesday, March 2nd? Sounds good.
Now, that study session on the, for the budget, one of the things I just keeps running through the back of my mind is, more than likely, we're gonna get cost, or minimum wage looks like it's gonna be going up, if not now, soon. And that's gonna be a big hit, and we gotta figure out how to get the teachers up with it. Cause I mean, you take our minimum wage right now and compare, what are we going up, 30%? From 11 to 15? Maybe, that's a heck of a hit. And so, basically what I'm saying is if minimum wage goes up, we know that the cost of a gallon of milk can go up. Gotta figure out how to make sure everybody's salary goes up also, not just minimum wage. And somehow we've got to figure out.
Proportionately to what it is now is what you're saying.
That's why it may take more than one budget work session.
We'll take some blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. And they've done that before.
That's just one of the things I just keep thinking about is, I mean.
Okay, so does that sound good then? March 2nd, 6 p.m.? How about,
Make sure that's on there, discussion about the minimum wage increase, Steve. Make sure that's one of our bullets. We'll have it kind of organized.
and you're gonna have to have discussion on giving raises to teachers especially. How we're gonna do it. It's not if we're gonna do it, it's how we're gonna do it. We only gave them a 2% this year, and we talked about, well, when we got everything figured out, we'll probably be able to give you some more, and we never did. So we definitely have to give them a raise going into next year.
Well, let's face it, everything was put on hold.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like we were negligent.
No, I'm just saying.
We were dealing with other issues,
We
and
need
they
to get
didn't.
it done, and that's all I'm saying.
We were on track, last I saw on a report to make that 20% by, there was, in the papers and publicized by the government, 20% by 2020, something like that, or
2020.
So yeah, and we're right there. We're close, if not on track. For that. But we can also have that ready for you, so we have it in front of us. But yeah, the more the better. It's just trying to keep it where we can offer all the programs that we want to do.
So then the regular board meeting would be March 9th at 6 o'clock. We're all still good with that? Okay. Then let's go to adjournment. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Andrew?
Aye. Yes.
Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
All right. Do we have anything to sign?
Yes.
Thank you all for your,
Okay, what are we supposed to do with these? Just everybody?
just a FYI.
Oh, okay.
And it came to me late, so we just printed them out. So you'll want it, those are confidential though. You'll want,
Yeah, I was gonna
Come back.
say,
You need to pass.
yeah, that,
Yeah.
what do you think about the,
Say they got it.
Thank you.